2, 1.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the February 20th, 2019 meeting of the Milton Conservation Commission. The commission is appointed by the Board of Selectmen to implement the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act under the state and also the Milton Town Bylaw. As a matter of formality, two things. One, we have a recording running for the open meeting law, so we invite everyone to speak, but please identify yourself, use a microphone, and our recorder will pick it up. Secondly, we always introduce ourselves.
Judith Darrell Kemp.
John Kiernan.
Arthur Doyle.
Wendy Garpo. Jackie Bowen.
First on the agenda is abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, 1387 Brush Hill Road. I'll use a mic, that's perfect. Thank you.
Good evening, Milton Conservation Commission. My name is Valovia Costa. I'm a wetland scientist at Goddard Consulting. Today I'm here with the applicant, Andrew Hack, to present to you the site plan for the delineation of the wetland resource areas at 1387 Brush Hill Road. Resource areas on site consist of a bordering vegetated wetland system located on the western side of the property. The resource area was delineated by Goddard Consulting in November 2018. As the Commission is aware of, the wetland line is similar to the previously approved wetland line.
What do you mean similar to?
Pretty similar to the, it's pretty close to the.
All right. Is there any way that you could provide us with an overlay? Because
Yes.
this will be the third delineation
Yes.
we've had.
I was getting to that.
Oh, good. I didn't mean to cut you off.
As you can see, Goddard Consulting wetland line, the one we're proposing now, it's highlighted in green. And then in blue, you have the old wetland line,
Which old wetland line?
the one that was approved through the NRED issued in 2015.
On the property, this is Andrew Hack, I'm the property owner. I participated with you in the original delineation here,
Yes.
and I know there was previous surveys done as a result of the Milton Muse project. We're all familiar with that. I forgot to renew the wetland line delineation this summer. And so, and I missed the extension period to ask to renew this. And so I've again hired the same firm to perform a new survey and study of the same land, and we come before you with a fresh survey and study of the land to approach the same problem that we've previously approached. And I think what Val is telling you is that we're going to propose to you, and we've marked off a survey in green that largely corresponds with the approved line, which we've tried to transpose on here in blue.
Yes.
And so that's why we're all here. I forgot to come and renew this, and so I have the privilege of repeating the exercise.
Okay.
Yes, the
All
most
right,
recent
understood.
line was approved through the issue of an ORAD in 2015, and the line was delineated by Henneken
You know, it
Consulting.
would have been helpful when you gave us this in advance, if you had just shown on our copies which old line was and the new, and then we could have looked at it more closely. So
Sure.
as we
Do you have
proceed-
those to pass out with the overlay?
No, I only did the overlay for presentation purposes, but I could forward copies to the commission ahead of the sidewalk, which,
Okay.
yeah.
That would be useful.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be helpful, because when we did the 2013 delineation for the 40B project, there was a line that was set and established in 13, and then when you did the 15,
Correct.
we moved a couple of flags, not very far, and I don't think it made any difference to placement of the house, but
Yeah.
I recall moving the flags. So that's the,
So the
That's
blue is the
actually-
line we agreed on three
Yes.
and a half years ago
Yes.
Correct.
together. And so we're happy to pass this around for you, so you can see it at closer
helpful.
range. I'm sorry that we didn't provide you with the document in advance that had the overlay. Just pass it around to the members.
So the blue line is the old line?
Yes, the blue
Correct.
line is the old line.
Yeah, that's correct.
And when you say the old one, 2015?
Correct.
the one you said.
Yeah, the blue line is the most recent line. Old is probably not the right way to speak here, since there have been many passes of this exercise. I know you're all very familiar with the
So-
property.
So, the green line is, yes, that's the Goddard delineation.
What was approved?
Yes, in 2015.
Yeah, they moved it quite a bit.
Sounds like the NPDA.
This green is the new line, this blue is the old line.
So in some places, it's a little upland, and in some places, it's a little
That's the flag
downland,
that we
you know,
moved.
that, you'll look at the
We already
general.
moved that one.
Wetlands are dynamic, so
It can change,
yes,
yeah,
it
sure,
changes.
you know that,
Yes.
Thanks, Whitney.
If I can just show you this, this is from the 2015 series, because we actually went through the same overlay request with that. And there are several dates on this one. We started in April of 15, updated June 4, July 15, July 30.
Yes.
And what this shows is this, and you can see that's the 40B line, and this is the Goddard Consulting line. And so this is what we eventually agreed on, which is reflected here,
Yes.
okay? And now we need to see this line, this line
Yellow
here,
line there.
reflected over there. And I think that's what you've done,
That's what we've done.
Yes. It's
but we don't,
an approximate.
I know it's an approximate, that's the problem. We need that line with those flags. One of the original problems we had was this. There were no flags. So we sent it back, and this one, what's the date on this one? July 15th. The reason we didn't accept it is because we didn't have flags. So we needed to see where the flags are. So approximate, we need to, I mean, these are plotted, so you can find them.
So
I mean, I
you-
know the flags aren't there, or I assume they're not there.
They're not there.
They're not there. I mean,
Right.
the new line, the new flags, the new line is out there. So
We've done a new study,
No, I
and
understand.
it's all flagged.
so in my
The
understanding,
previous line is just for representative purposes, so you can see roughly where the
Yes.
first line is. The new study is the
We
line.
don't want to see roughly, we want to see exactly with the engineering precision, because those are actually plotted.
so
So you don't have to have a flag, it's on the plan.
So, okay, so if the commission forwards this plan to me, I could get this overlaid on this plan. But my question is, to be honest, it's not relevant to the review of the proposed wetland line.
We'll plot anything you want.
But yes, but
I guess our
we could
view
plot
was-
it.
Right, well, I'll give you an example. When we first started with this, with the 40B, we looked at something like this. We actually, with the full commission there, had a public meeting on site, and we moved that flag over here. So you just moved it back. And
We just
we've
did a
already gone
new
through that.
study.
Once you
I
do,
understood, I understand.
when you're doing delineation, you go by hydric soils and 50% wetland vegetation.
Yes,
So
we're all well aware of that, all of us
Exactly.
here.
So in a situation like this, it would be best for us to schedule a sidewalk, see existing conditions, and then determine whether or not that area meets the criteria to be a wetland.
Yes.
And I don't see how the old line would be.
It's relevant to us.
We're
I mean-
happy to plot the line.
Correct. So
This
can you
isn't-
get a
This is
copy?
a citizen who let something lapse, so there's no exercise here in trying to move stuff or move flags.
Oh, I understand that.
So
Yeah.
we're happy
I
to put the
accept
old
that.
line on here to
Oh,
make that clear.
sure.
That's.
Yes, we'll
that would
put
be
the old line on the plan. If could you please forward that to me? I'll
Can
leave you with mine.
can you scan it?
I will
Do it
scan it
electronically?
and
Okay.
send it to you
Because this
Yes.
is our only
Could I-
file copy.
Yes, I have it.
That's
I'll
great.
take another.
Yeah.
All right.
Now,
Now,
Mr. Hack, it might seem that it's additional scrutiny, but in fact, this is what we always do. And certainly, this area has been studied so much, in the last 5 to 6 years, so.
No, understandably, and I think I've studied all the lines, as have you, and they're all slightly different each time based on the existing conditions. And so that's why we didn't
Yes.
the previous conditions as anything other than an illustrative representation. We're happy to mark 3 years ago as a line on there,
Good.
if that's valuable to the commission.
In color preferably, so that we can distinguish among.
Sure.
So we will forward a plan with an overlay of the old wetland line to the commission prior to the sidewalk.
that's great. How about a site walk? We do it on Saturdays, generally Saturday
The
morning?
trouble, John, is a sidewalk on this location.
That's gonna be tough.
Until April, we're not going to be able to see much at all. We could still have snow in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Exactly.
We should do it in April.
We do understand that we have snow cover and we wouldn't be able to get out there in at least 2-3 weeks maybe.
Could we put it on for mid-April? Would that be agreeable? some Saturday. Then we should be able to see, emergent vegetation as well as, your hydric soils.
Yes, that would be.
I mean, I guess
that's fair enough.
just for the citizens' perspective, the dilemma is it's very hard for me to move forward with anything on this property until we have a new delineation. I know it's my mistake for not renewing this in the summer, but I would just wonder whether or not it's possible to do it before mid-April, which is almost 2 weeks away,
Yeah,
2
I was
months
thinking the same
away.
thing, and maybe use April as a backup date, but see if we can do something in the month of March.
Yes, we could
Happy to.
go out there in mid-March maybe. By then, I believe.
As long as it's not like last March.
Exactly.
So they're gonna do the 16th and the 23rd if you have a quorum, mid-March.
What's our date in March for this regular meeting?
The 12th.
The 12th.
That's the 12th.
The following Saturday is the 16th.
Okay. Is that, because we don't want to slow you down, although.
Like, it's just as soon as you can do it, we'd love to have certainty on knowing where the line is, so.
Okay,
You
this,
could decide on the weather on the 12th of March, whether it's feasible to do it on the 16th or the 23rd.
that is correct. That's a good idea. So why don't we
What you
tentatively
say?
plan it for the 16th of March?
16th of March.
Right.
Okay.
Now, but before you go, are there any other questions from the commissioners? Are there any abutters or members of the public? And before anybody answers, our next item, I'd like to join with this because it's the same area. And the Murphys are here and they'd like to present. So I don't want you to go, even if we agree upon the 16th as a tentative date. Are there any other questions? Because I'd like to now join number 2 on our agenda to this. Are you aware of the stream issues and the drainage issues on Avenue A?
To some extent, I have contributed funds to the exploratory work that's been done by the Murphys, but I've not been intimately involved with their process. So I'm actually interested to hear the presentation as well.
All right, that's great. Then if you could stay here. And for the members of the public, this is the same area of land, and we've got a drainage issue. So we'd like to get everybody together and thinking on the same page. And for members of the public, this is an informational agenda item.
Thank you.
So we're just looking for information. And it's 1439 Brush Hill Road, but it's actually on the same private way, which is called Avenue A. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. I'm Mary McKettrick. I'm here representing Arthur and Susan Murphy, who own 1439 Brush Hill Road. But the issue tonight that Arthur Murphy is going to explain to you it is an issue for Avenue A and part of Avenue B. So it isn't just their property at the end. And just briefly, I would just explain to you that Murphy's own 1439, which is the last lot on Avenue A. Avenue A is a right-of-way off, or a private way off Brush Hill Road, approximately across from Fuller Village. In December 2018, the Murphys moved into their property after completing some work in the house, but they've owned it for more than a year. Avenue A and Avenue B are connected private ways created in 1912. There are 7 residential properties on Avenue A and B, and drainage systems, including drainage pipes, were installed at the time these ways were constructed many years ago, sometime not too long after 1912. Avenue B and most of Avenue A are paved and are in reasonably good condition, although the portion of Avenue A leading to the Murphy residence is in poor condition. And I know some time ago, I know the Conservation Commission has taken a site walk and has seen the end of that road. During this December 2018, there was a snow and ice storm with heavy rains, and substantial flooding occurred on Avenue A. And in fact, a sinkhole appeared in front of the garage at 1383 Brush Hill Road. The property at 1321 Brush Hill Road, which is at the intersection of Avenue A and Avenue B, had a tremendous amount of flooding and damage to their yard. These conditions, making the roadway virtually impassable, did require some emergency response, and Arthur Murphy and his neighbors devoted a considerable time and effort to addressing the emergency after holding meetings together. Arthur contacted me since I've represented the Murphys on other matters, and I just advised contacting the Conservation Commission to let them know of the situation, to get advice on what their next steps should be. They've had East Coast Pipeline, they hired East Coast Pipeline to clean out a catch basin, jet the drainage line, to try to clear the blockage, and to camera the line. This work revealed that the drainage line on Avenues A and B will have to be repaired. It's in very poor condition, and there's considerable water escaping and just spreading all over, and that's really what happened in December that all sort of came to fruition. There's going to have to be substantial work done on the right-of-way for both roads in order to repair this drainage. Portions of Avenue A and possibly B are within your jurisdictional area because they're nearby wetlands. They're near wetlands. So there is going to have to be an application to the Conservation Commission for work that will need to be done to repair the drainage line. I assume that takes the form of an NOI application, and an engineer is going to have to prepare a plan for that work. So we're here tonight for two reasons. One is to tell you about the emergency work that's been done, just to look at the situation, and then to get your advice as to how to proceed. Arthur Murphy has a lot of materials, and I think he's passed them out, so he's going to explain the details.
Could I just ask a quick question? What drains into this pipe? Is it sewer or is it
Water.
ground?
Groundwater.
This is a
Just ground-
drainage
it's
pipe.
only
It's all
groundwater.
groundwater.
Okay, thank you.
It isn't so much draining into the pipe so much as it's just escaping and pouring under the road now because the pipe was broken in a number of places. Go ahead.
Thank you, Marion. My wife Susan and I bought the property approximately 3 years ago, and we don't have very much knowledge of the entire area, but little by little, we picked up on a number of different things. Peter Hicks, who I'd like to refer to as in this meeting here as the grandfather, not because of age or anything else. He's been there for 35 years, and he's been there longer than he's been there for long enough to see a lot of things happen. And he and I ran into each other a couple of times. There was a major flooding of the roadways. I'd like to refer to you Exhibit 1, which is the colorful one. I'm not going to show you too many pictures because I want you to pay attention. But the colorful one there is that sort of depicts the areas that we have, and the flooding started on where I point out number 1 on that chart, and that's the bottom of Avenue B, and there's a manhole there. And the water the manhole was not taking the water on out. And so we were getting 3 or 4 inches of water. At that point, we were afraid that when the winter came, we were going to have some real serious problems. And fortunately, the weather didn't come the way we anticipated it coming. So I'm going to hand you out a copy of the subdivision that was put together in 1912 with the 6 different parcels. And it depicts each of the, you can see them on the, you can pass them around, please.
Sure.
So Peter Hicks and I got together and decided we could do something, we should try to do something here. He's been there for that many years, so many years, and he's never seen anything like this. And so Peter was able to contact East Coast Pipe, and they, I guess, do most of the work for the town of Milton. And they have some amazing equipment. I put a lot of time into this. Part of what I was doing was sort of like being a policeman doing the detail, watching paint dry. I mean, it was very boring, but it was also incredibly interesting. They had video camera, a truck that has a video camera that could go down the pipe and go anywhere you want. And and so we have videotapes of all the pipes throughout the drainage system that was put together somewhere a little after 1912. And this is an old-fashioned drainage system. It's all made of. I learned a lot, but I don't know enough about it. But I did learn what's basically going on here. And so East Coast Pipe had said that they would go through if we gave them a small deposit $3,500. They would go through most of the pipes to try to determine what was going on and what we needed to do. But because we had such great warm weather at the end of the year, we decided to keep on going rather than contact all the neighbors, because we had an opportunity. The equipment is so specialized, it can't be used, and actually some of the equipment got damaged because of the freezing weather when the truck would go back to the shop. But anyway, they were able to. We were able to video just about everything, all the way down from the stream that I think you all are quite aware of. That crosses underneath Avenue A. Is a stream that comes down from from Wakefield Estates. Actually, comes right down from the Blue Hills. Somehow is all the groundwater, and it goes through underneath Avenue A with approximately a 2-foot concrete pipe, and it's picking up all the water from way up from the Wakefield Estates, all the water, the groundwater that's coming on down, which makes a lot of the land on lots numbers 2 and 3. Lot number 3 makes a lot of it is the wetlands, but the stream also gets fed by all the water, the groundwater that comes out of these drains from Avenue A and Avenue B. So we started off with looking at the manhole that I depicted as number 1, and we wanted to find out. So we tried to figure out what was going on, because it was obvious that there was that was not draining properly, and it had always drained properly before. And they sucked the water out. They sucked it out maybe 7 or 8 times, and it was determined that manhole. After a couple of times, we were able to figure out that the manhole was fed by a number of different places, and a number of different pipes coming out from the entire original development, and they were a couple of them were through the camera and the pulling the vacuum truck, pulling all the water and the debris out of the manhole. We were able to figure out a lot. Part of the manhole is lined with it's old-fashioned, lined with the red brick, and the red brick was flowing on down down Avenue A, and when it was blocking the water, and so. I'm not sure it seemed to happen all of a sudden for this year, but I guess we had more water this year than we've had in ages, and that's what they're saying about the Blue Hills area. But anyway, we had so much water. We started cleaning out the pipes, but we had a sinkhole, which is between 2 and 3 on the map on the Tran land, and the water was coming out of the sinkhole, and the sinkhole, it was sort of like quicksand. There was obviously a broken pipe. Well, it wasn't obvious to me, but it was to the pipe people. There was a broken pipe in there, and so we tried to camera into there, and we cameraed on down from part of Avenue B down into the intersection of Avenue A, which we call the TY, which is 0.3, and. But we couldn't get too far because it was completely blocked. So we dug another hole between the sinkhole and the TY on 3 on the map, and thinking we might be able to camera and find out something, see what needs to be done, and that didn't do too much good. So we came up from 0.5. There's a green manhole, and it's painted green now. It wasn't green then, but it's a green manhole that's at 0.5. And with the camera and the vacuums, we were able to get up the pipe going up toward Brush Hill Road, and it was determined at about 120 feet up from 0.5, the green manhole, there was a complete blockage of the pipe. I have a picture for it. It's
150 feet which way?
towards Brush Hill.
Okay. So closer to 4.
Closest to the,
I'm just looking at your numbers.
4, yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
Mr. Murphy, when you say we dug down, with what? Heavy equipment, with a backhoe? What were you using?
A backhoe was used, and the equipment that East Coast Pipe had told us exactly where the pipe was broken. It was 6.5 feet down. They knew exactly. I couldn't believe that they could figure that all out, but it was it's just where they told us to dig. Very difficult to dig because there's all kind of electrical wires around there and everything else. A lot of it had to be hand dug, which was, well, it had to be done, but it's fill area. It wasn't on there for forever. So it was area that had been filled when they built the road up, when they built the road and put the pipe in originally. So we were capable of digging it out. And I have a picture of it. We've got about a 10-foot section of the pipe, 6.5 feet down, parallel to the road, carrying the water. And so we pulled it all out, pulled all the broken clay pipes. The clay pipe is 10, 12 inches, 15 inches in diameter. And the whole top of the clay pipe is broken, and the water's flowing very, very quickly through there, but can't flow too far because there's blockage down further. Okay, I'll pass that one down. This happens to be the pipe that's broken, and the pipe that you see going into the water stream is the vacuum that we're using. And in there we found in that pipe, after clearing out all the debris, we were able to camera on up to the original sink, the original hole, number 1, manhole that was overflowing. We found all kind of red brick in there and roots, and we cleaned them all out, and so the water started flowing pretty good. And then we went down. We were at.
Is it flowing to the stream?
Pardon?
Does it flow to the
Yes,
stream?
going to the stream, yes.
What's the discharge outlet at the stream? Is it just a pipe?
There's a pipe, there's a 10-inch concrete pipe going underneath the road into the stream.
What do you mean going underneath the road?
Well, the way it works now, this drain pipe is on, as you're leaving, going down, as you're coming out of Brush Hill Road, going down Avenue A, on your left-hand side, there's a drain pipe on your left-hand side of the road, going all the way down to the stream.
Oh, so it's on the left-hand side?
On the left-hand
Okay,
side.
now I understand.
And just as you get to the stream, before you get to the stream, it goes underneath the road, and it goes out into the stream, dumps into the stream on the right-hand side. But if you go down in there and you look at the concrete pipe, it's just barely a little bit of water's coming out of there, but you see so much water. The water's going everywhere, but it's not going into the stream. What happens with the water, there's a berm on the left-hand side of this Avenue A, and the berm is sitting maybe 5 feet high, and inside that berm is the clay pipe. And you can see through the years, they've repaired this clay pipe because there's broken clay pipe. I've walked that road many a time. I've never seen these clay pipes until we were actually there. But there's broken clay pipe all the way around on top of the berm. And there's trees growing on top of the berm now because they've been there for so long. So the water's seeping out of these clay pipes, and it's not like a constant clay pipe, like a plastic pipe they make today. They come in like maybe 5 or 10 foot sections, and they join together. They're not hooked in together with glue or anything. They just fit themselves in, and then that little area where they join together, the roots from trees get in there and they join together. You would think that when you hear about these companies that clear the roots of the drain pipes, they're not clearing roots like 2 inches thick. They're clearing. It's almost like pasta, angel hair, little ones, and these little roots are going on in, and slowing the flow of the water going through the pipe. And so we were having these pipes were being cleaned as we're videoing them.
Cleaned and repaired? Did you replace the pipe?
No, haven't done any repair.
So is that ditch still open?
The
In the picture.
yes, it's covered.
Wait a minute. Yes, it's open. Yes, it's covered.
No, it's open, but it's covered with wood and flags, so nobody can fall in.
Right.
But we did not repair it yet because we haven't had the weather. We need permission to do all of that. We need direction is what we need.
Okay. For what distance is the
about 10
trench
feet.
open? 10 feet, okay.
That pipe is about 10 feet long, and that pipe definitely needs to be repaired. We have to get that pipe. We have to repair a couple of other pipes that are like the pipe up at point number 3. I call the TY. That's the pipe, water coming on down from Avenue B. going through the Tran yard, and the Tran yard has a sinkhole in the middle of it, and there's a break in that, where the sinkhole is in that pipe, that's gotta be repaired. And where the TY is, we should repair that too.
When the water goes onto the road, you say 3 or 4 inches deep, does it then spill onto Mr. Hack's land?
You don't see it spilling anyway because it's all going underneath. That's why the road is so bad from the beginning, the end of Barbara Piper's yard or the end of where her stone wall is on the right-hand side, all the way down to the stream. That part of the road is the worst part of this road, the entire place. And that's because the pipes going on the left-hand side, the water's coming out of the pipes, going underneath the road, and then as cars go drive on top of it, heavy trucks drive on top of it, it concaves the asphalt, so the asphalt's in very bad shape from from Barbara Piper's road to Barbara Piper's wall to the stream. And so water's all been seeping on out, but you don't see any going anywhere. But you know it's going somewhere because the hole that I showed you, you see a lot of water going through there. There's just a little bit of water going into the stream from the pipe. So very little bit is going through, but not much.
Understood. What's the distance from the stream? And I'm not asking for an exact measurement, just ballpark. How far is that open ditch covered for safety purposes? How far is that from the stream?
Where would you mind?
500 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And there are manholes in between there that were put in through when they originally did it so that they could actually do whatever they wanted to do in the manholes. But the manholes stick above the berm.
Okay.
So we actually cleaned out a lot of the water that was coming, that started flowing here after we got this going pretty good. And then the water started pouring out on top over the manhole, out of the manhole, coming out of the top. And so we put a block on the water up on Avenue B so it wouldn't come on down. And we ended up, we had to buy these items. I think they were like $300 and holds the water from the pipe, holds the water back. And we were able to fix that manhole so that where the water was all pouring out. We got that fixed. So we cleaned out from where the manhole is as much as we could. We also cleaned out from the stream going on up with
You mean from the
cameras.
stream back to 765 and 4?
Yes.
Okay. Is that open or is that closed? When you said
It's
you
all
cleaned it?
completely covered with its original dirt and trees and on top of it. It's a 5-foot berm. That's all covered.
Oh, okay. So that you just did through with the telescope or the suction pipe?
That's right. But when we cleared the water, when the water started flowing, it blew right out of the side of the berm. I'm going to show you a picture of it.
But all of this activity took place over a day, 2 days? How long?
This is over a week and a half,
You were working there for a week and a half.
maybe, about something like that. Right around New Year's. This is where the water blew out of the berm.
There was no, the Murphys live at the end of a road which was almost inaccessible because of the flooding and the freezing. So it was a very bad situation, not only for them, but for some of the other homeowners.
The picture you're seeing there, John, when the water's blowing out of there, it was blowing right on top of the road, going on over down toward the stream, and then at night it would freeze up. It'd be like a solid piece of ice. The mail lady said she wouldn't deliver mail
And
anymore.
where is that picture in relationship to the numbers?
That's number 6. No, number 7. Number 7.
7, okay.
That's the
See,
blow up.
the reason, and Marion knows, that, we're looking at jurisdictional issues. Anything that's done that's going to impact the stream would be jurisdictional, but you're getting close to, in terms of the work that needs to be done. And I compliment you on fixing this, because that's a good idea. But there is a permitting process. How close is 7 to the stream? Again, ballpark.
130 feet,
Okay,
120.
all right.
But, you need an engineering plan showing everything. So, I know this is difficult, but we had to come in and talk to you because of this.
No, we appreciate
They're
that.
trying to deal with an emergency, but it's affecting the whole,
whole
repair
area.
scenario, what's going to happen. So you need to know the situation and to know that they want to do the application, but as much direction as possible needs to come from the commission. Obviously, any work done within 100 feet, or maybe even 200 feet of the stream.
Yeah, I don't know if this
needs to
is
be-
intermittent or
I mean, I think
perennial.
what I expect is that you'll have to get an engineering plan for the repair work,
Absolutely.
And the engineer will have to identify, based on existing wetlands maps that we'd have, to the best of his ability, where he thinks he's within 100 and 200 feet of the stream or any other wetland, because that's going to be under your jurisdiction. So you're going to have to approve that work and set the conditions for it. And it all has to happen pretty efficiently, because you're going to have to try to get this work done. But, you know, it takes time for the engineer to develop this plan. And you haven't hired an engineer yet, is that right?
We have not hired an
Inspection.
engineer.
Yeah.
We will be hiring an engineer to do this work. East Coast Pipe, they will probably do the work for us, we're not sure. But we don't even know what work needs to be done. Do we put the new, that's what I was talking about, Peter Hicks' grandfather. I mean, I don't know what could be grandfather. This pipe has been there forever. It's been failing forever, and it has to be repaired. If it's not repaired, we won't be able to even get down that road in the wintertime, because it just covers over with ice, and that's what the mail, so we had to put a mailbox up at the front, up at the Y, because the mail lady wouldn't deliver the mail anymore,
Who
so.
maintains that road?
The homeowners.
All of you collectively?
We're supposed to, yes.
There's a maintenance agreement that was filed in 1912, it's on record. It's actually pretty detailed. Basically says that the homeowners equally, anyone who owns a lot and is using Avenue A or Avenue B shares in the cost of maintenance and repair. The mechanism that's set up is similar to what's in state law for private ways. You have to agree amongst yourselves, and if somebody doesn't pay, then there's a mechanism for obtaining the payments from them by various means, legal means. And I believe that that all the homeowners have worked together on whatever work has been required to date, and that they are talking together, and Arthur's just done a lot of work on this, because he had just moved into the neighborhood and he's at the end, so he was in the really most difficult position in terms of access.
So you're like the grandson.
If there's rights to that, yes.
It isn't really an easy way to move into your new house. They just moved in December, but he's sort of fresh to it.
This is in that
so
land
that helps.
between 2 and 3, this sinkhole.
Look at the water.
Look at the one.
Just the groundwater as well.
When we're making the ditch going into that big, where you see where we saw that pipe that was broken, we're
Yes.
making a ditch from that sinkhole there, so the water will flow there instead of, otherwise it was flowing on Avenue A and into Barbara Piper's old property down across the road. That water was just flowing, but we made a hand dug a ditch there so that the water would go right into that hole that we dug that's uncovered, covered with plywood now. It's 6.5 feet deep, the one that has a broken pipe.
Now, what about this hole filled with water?
Yeah, that's the water coming down from Avenue B. That's the sinkhole area.
Yeah.
Basically, it's catching the water.
Is
that's
that,
pouring.
is that on Mr. Tran's property?
It's between, yes, it's on Tran's property.
Yeah.
His property is a mess now.
So is that, I see the backhoe there, but did the backhoe dig the ditch between what I see in the foreground, the hole? and
No,
the-
that was all done by hand.
And the purpose of that was to let the water go,
You go into that spot where the 6.5 foot deep hole is, where we have the 10-foot piece of pipe that needs to be replaced?
and that's right where the backhoe is?
Yes.
Okay.
So just a question, there's water flow down Avenue B into manhole 1. And then from manhole 1, it leads out to the stream. Is that correct?
That's correct, but it also goes from down Avenue B, across Trans land, from point
Two to
2
3?
and 3. And there's
That's
a
what you're
broken
looking
pipe
at.
in the middle of that.
That's what you're looking at? You're looking
Yeah,
from
got it.
point 3 to, I mean, from point 2 to
Point
point
2
3.
and 3.
So you've got 2 water flows off of B.
Yes. Off of B is,
Wendy?
now, I didn't go up too far into the O'Brien's land, which is at the very top of Avenue B, but that's up there where the Wakefield Estates is. And I don't know how much water's coming out of there and whether this system's tied into the Wakefield Estates. But they're not tied into our maintenance agreement.
Sheet flow.
You're also showing a well in the Millington's yard.
That was an old well. So one of the pipes that goes into that intersection where that was overflowing at point number 1, one of the pipes that goes into there comes from a well. It looks like a well. I mean, that's what I call it. When you take the cover off of it, it looks like just like a well-made well filled with water. And the water, there's a pipe there that goes into the manhole number 1 on the
So
chart.
when the well overflows, or begins to overflow, it has an outlet.
Well, yeah, but it's,
To manhole one.
I don't know whether it's ever overflown, but yes, it
That's-
would, yeah,
that was the
absolutely,
purpose.
right,
Yeah.
right. And that whole yard, going down, where the Milton's home is, that whole front yard, that's a big piece of land that water's coming from wherever, then it's joining in on the pipes. There's 2 pipes going on Avenue A, going from Brush Hill Road down to that intersection of Avenue A and B. There's 2 pipes feeding water into there, which is this water that you see that's in the pictures that are going down to the stream.
Do you know if the stream channel that you're showing here, do you know if that's connected directly to the stream channel that starts at the detention basin next to the Montessori school?
You know, I always thought that was a horse training machine, would put the horses go swimming, getting strong.
No,
I
they
just found
created
that out.
that,
I
yeah.
have no idea. I went to take a look. I went walking around there, but I felt a little uncomfortable, so
Have you been in touch with the town DPW to see?
one of the first things I did, I went right over to the DPW and I talked with Alan Bishop. And, but I went to his old spot, but he was at the main place, but he told me that there's nothing the town can do for us.
The private way?
Yeah, it's
What
all
do you
private.
think, Ken?
Bishop is an engineer.
What's that?
Alan Bishop is another engineer. John Thompson and Chris.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Right, I mean, the
you
reason to
understand that.
consult with the DPW is that this isn't, well, it would be quite a horror story for the town, but the town has its own system of drain pipes and it has to maintain them, and so they may be able to advise as to how to go about doing the work or work with you. But it's a private way. It's the drain pipes, the right-of-way, not the sewer pipe. There's a limited sewer pipe that was put in later along Avenue A. I think the town may maintain that, I'm not sure. But the rest of this
Does it
has
go all the way
always
to your
been private.
property?
I'm
No.
sorry?
That sewer
No,
pipe-
the
what-
sewer line ends at the end of what was the Piper lot.
Okay.
Right now, I mean, I suppose it could be
I
extended.
think that the Piper house is the only house that's on that sewer line.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah, so it's valuable to talk to the DPW, but they will not assume the cost of these repairs. I
Well, I
don't
was
believe they
concerned
will.
about how it impacts the public sewer, or, if the Wakefield estate, or, other implications of what you're doing.
There is no I mean, the way it usually works in this case, and there were people still working for us who remember when that pipe was put in. You would have paid to put the pipe in. The town would perhaps then say that they will take future responsibility for its maintenance. Same thing if you put a water line in. Today, the town wants to take future responsibility for the maintenance. Drainage pipes are a different matter entirely. And so what you're saying is, yes, there is a sewer line there, and there is a water line that goes in for a limited period. So, of course, that's going to be a question, that if you're going to do repair work, you have to be aware of what other lines are in there, how they have to be protected, where do you put the drainage pipe or repair the drainage pipe so that you won't affect them. The town will have records, should have records of the sewer installation. I know Bob Hannigan remembers the installation of the sewer pipe. He's an older engineer in town, and has told me about it. So we'd certainly be able to find out more about that. But you have to consult with the town because of those services that are in Avenue A. As far as the work goes, it's going to be expensive work, and these homeowners are going to have to divide up the cost.
All right.
And so they need to know, they need to start working with an engineer to get a plan and some estimates, and they will have to come back with an application to the, as soon as possible to the Conservation Commission. Meanwhile, I guess the question I had was, it's a private way, it's private land, but there are wetlands around here, so you have to be careful what you do on an interim basis. And at the same time, it's an emergency. It was very much of an emergency when it occurred in December because there was no access. So how do they keep on top of this in the right way? Who should they be talking to?
Well, I think that the reason that we put these together on the agenda and I asked Mr. Hack to stay is because it affects your land, Mr. Hack.
Right.
And we're looking at wetlands right there where number 7 is, so we're awfully close. So I first compliment you for this informational session, bringing it to our attention. And secondly, we'll commit to work with you. And I think Arthur's already suggested we need to get out there and see it. But again, I don't want to wait until March 16th. If you've got
After
an
this,
open, if you've got an open
After
ditch, I
this.
understand it's covered for safety reasons, but it still can continue to erode. And that may not be within our jurisdiction, but the impact of what's happening is within our jurisdiction. So I'd like to take a look at it before March 16th.
Yeah, I agree, John, sure.
Yeah, we can do that with snow cover, that's not
Yeah.
Yeah.
written.
How about this Saturday?
Are you gonna be around?
Yes. The groundwater that's flowing through that you see in these pictures is going right into the stream. And it's in that ditch that is uncovered.
The ditch that's uncovered is where? Between 2 and 3 from Mr. Transport?
No, from 7 to the stream, there's a ditch where the water's flowing into from.
Oh,
from
that's
7.
what you had indicated, that there's about a 150-foot ditch?
Right.
that
water
tobacco dug.
Yes, and it's uncovered, and it's, and the water's flowing right directly into the stream from there.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
So there's a ditch between 7 and the stream
Yes,
well.
that was created.
yes. To
that-
take the water, otherwise it was flowing right out of, it blew right, once the pipe was cleaned out, the water, the pressure of the water just blew a hole right through the side of the berm where the pipe
Yeah.
was.
This is very fast-flowing water.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, I know the Conservation Commission is aware that there's a lot of water flowing down from the direction of
From the
Blue
Wakefield
Hills,
estate, yeah.
from Big Blue.
Sure.
And so that was a good question as to whether there's a direct connection. But it doesn't start here, but it goes through here and then it ends up mostly in Fowl Meadow. And it has gotten, this is a really serious problem that these pipes are not working. But they were very old. It's not surprising.
So that trench, which could continue to erode with fast-moving water, that's on Mr. Hack's property?
No, it's on the left-hand side of the road. It's on Peter Hicks's property. Well,
So even though the pipe goes under Avenue A,
the pipe travels the entire time on the left-hand side of Avenue A, going on down.
but I thought you said it crossed,
At the
Just
street.
at the ditch, it crosses underneath the road and goes into the ditch on the right-hand side. All the rest of the time, the pipe is in a berm. As you walk down Avenue A, you'll look onto your left, you'll see a 5-foot-high berm with trees growing on top of it. Underneath that berm, maybe 2 feet, 3 feet deep, is where the pipe is.
okay.
And we
And
have
the-
seen that on sidewalks, but you may not recall it.
And,
Yeah.
and where and the pressure, that item we bought to stop the flow, and it is supposed to stop the flow, it wouldn't stop the flow. There was that much pressure, once we cleaned the pipes.
If you stop the flow, it's going to go somewhere else.
Right, so it was overflowing, at the sinkhole, the trans land, it was going all over the place down
I
there.
really think it's going to be hard to understand this without going on a site walk.
Oh,
The thing is
Yeah.
that this is I found it helpful to see this diagram. You may even want to mark those spots.
Does the
when
23rd give us enough time for notice and for butters? It's the only thing I'm concerned about, John.
Wednesday
Well, it
night?
would be, it
Well, they're all, you're in
would
touch
just
with
be
them
an
all, right?
informational meeting still, there's
Yeah,
no vote
it's
or
not-
anything.
Yeah.
Right, and also, I
It'd be an
think we would be
in-place
notifying
subcommittee.
them all.
We could, but if we're all there, it still has an open meeting, but we've got 48 hours if we do it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah.
just
Oh, I
put-
couldn't do tomorrow.
What's that?
No, if
No,
you,
it has to
No,
be.
no,
it's
the notice.
48 hours notice before Saturday morning, yes.
Right.
So
So we
we
might,
better post
we
it
might have
tomorrow.
to make it later on Saturday, instead of 8 o'clock, we could make it, you tell us,
Okay,
9:30,
9:30.
9:30, Saturday morning?
We're in touch with all the neighbors, because we have to inform them of everything that's going on. We really don't know what's going on. We know a lot now that we didn't know before, But there are so many unanswered questions. We don't know the right questions. We don't even know who to ask the questions to.
Okay. So,
So we will notify all of the property owners that are already in this kind of a communication network right now. Do you want us to try to, is there somebody beyond that you feel should be getting notice? The property owners are, I mean, what is the abutting area? I guess the butters to Avenue A and Avenue B are all the property owners on Avenue A and Avenue B.
I'm going to stick my neck out on this. Is this something that Chase Berkeley would like to see, just for advice? I know there's no
He's on
responsibility.
vacation,
He's on
hasn't-
vacation.
This afternoon, he's away for the weekend.
Anybody that could just look at it and just be in a position to give advice?
No.
Town engineer?
No, actually.
They're all away probably.
Yeah, they have school vacation.
I know it's school vacation, right. Okay.
Well, they could come out and look
Oh, sure.
next week or whenever they're back. Once you've taken a look, you might have a better idea what you want to say.
I just don't think the town would get involved with it at all. It's private.
No, I understand
but-
that completely, but they have some good ideas in terms of drainage facilities and how they
I
work.
think the engineering plan that you recommended would be advisable to have elevation levels on it, John, so that we can take a look at this entire area.
Which one are you talking about,
The
Mr. Hacks?
proposed one,
When we develop a plan,
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
okay, all right.
even contours.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, it would
I have a
to,
feeling,
yeah.
excuse me, Arthur, I have a feeling that once the pipe is repaired, the Hacks land is gonna be a lot drier because the water's just seeping right out of those pipes.
That's my thinking too, and also superimposing, in my mind, the two plans on top of the other, we have to look carefully at where that pipe crosses over from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. That may be on Mr. Hack's land, I'm not sure.
No, it's way, Mr. Hacks
Before
land
that.
stops,
It's
it's
further
probably,
up.
it's
So it's
probably
after that?
After the end of the Hacks land, there's probably 100 feet before you hit the stream.
Really? Okay, good. So that makes the engineering plan all the more important so that we can have those measurements, yes.
But you can
Thanks.
still see, you'll see where the berm is. It all makes sense when you see it. You'll see the catch basins,
Yep.
and you'll see where the berm is, and the water's been coming out of those pipes for years. And you can see what it's done to the road. So our big question is, we have to repair the pipe somehow. And we're not sure how, but we don't even know where to go. Do we repair the pipe down the middle of the road? Do we go to the right-hand side where we're getting closer to the Hacks land, where we're closer to the wetlands? Or do we go to the left side? But if we go to the left side, it's pretty difficult to go to the left side, I think, because there are electrical pipes over there too. So I'm not sure we need help.
Yeah, and your engineer's gonna have to locate all the existing utilities, yeah, among other things.
All right.
I just want to say, as far as the town engineering goes and town DPW, they're not responsible for doing the work. But if you were building a new development in here with a private way and private drainage system, you would have the town engineer review the plan and approve it as whether it's the right plan in their view. So my personal view is that they should be involved in some way, because the repair work is the equivalent of putting in a new drainage system, practically, and it's an existing system, you're gonna be repairing it. But they may have advice about the system itself and the best type of pipe and, that kind of thing. That's all.
I think after you present something from your engineer,
Correct.
that they would look at it and they
Yeah,
would have to
okay.
approve it.
That's my thinking.
It's just that they would not go
No, they're not
free
gonna
and tell you,
plan it
well, I
for us.
suggest this, they wouldn't put themselves in that position.
No.
But they would need to approve it, yes,
Okay. Yeah.
after you.
I agree.
In other words, the NOI will go to them also,
Okay,
for
good,
them to review.
good, okay.
Not
All right.
very boring, is it?
No, thanks.
So we'll see you on Saturday.
Yes, any comments or questions from members of the public about us? Okay, so
Mr. Hack, any comments?
Nope. I'll be there on Saturday, though.
Okay, good. All right. All right, thank you all. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. I just want to ask you.
Well
further
presented,
on
by the way.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Later in the agenda, you have a conservation restriction draft with
Yes.
comments that came back from EEA. I just want to know whether anybody had comments that they want to give me or whether I should leave now. I'm happy to stay if you want to discuss anything.
No, thank you.
I don't because I can't.
No,
That's
this is
Governor
for
Stone.
153 Hillside Street.
Oh,
No, no, no,
153.
this is for.
No, I'm,
Yeah, 153 Hillside
Hillside
Street, that's
Street.
correct. It's land that's off Hillside Street in a private way. It's adjacent to the Wentworth Farm development.
Right, okay. So you and I spoke of this.
We did.
10
Right.
days
So I
ago,
just didn't know whether other members who are here tonight
I
had
read it
anything.
in the recommendation that I requested is satisfactory.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
I
No, I
probably
have no
won't say that.
concerns, Marion, none.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And the only concern that I had was that,
The
C,
plan.
the plan.
Yes,
Plan
and
C.
the plan has been sent to the engineer for the applicant. He's supposed to be talking to the state about what it is that they wanted for clarification or better marking or whatever that was. So we'll get that worked out.
Okay, perfect,
And we will send a new version of the plan back to the Conservation Commission. You can review that.
perfect.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
And also, while we're going back to the agenda now, that actually takes care of number 8 on the agenda. So if anybody were waiting for that, we just resolved that. If anybody's waiting for 711 Randolph Avenue, 0 Meg Lane, that is being continued. Both the town and the abutter have appealed the decision of the Housing Appeals Committee. This is a 40B project off of Randolph Avenue. So they've asked for continuance for 1 month, which we will grant. And to be honest with you, the appeal may take a lot longer than 1 month, so it may be a series of continuances. As a consequence, just check the town website to see if it's coming up. All right? So with those 2 comments, next is 23 Myers Lane.
Did you
No,
set
no.
that for 9:30 Saturday? Is that?
It's 9:30
9:30.
because
Town hall doesn't
we need the
open.
48 hours to get the notice out.
Okay, thank you.
And Sumner Street, which for continuation was.
Oh, yes. Which one is that?
Number 6.
Yeah, number 6, enforcement order 50 Sumner Street. That one is being continued as well at the request. Is it? But Brad is here. Is he going to speak?
That's not for 50 Sumner, that's for Canton Avenue.
Did they go to anybody? 50 Summer Street, did they go to anybody?
neighbors, and now we'll get to know
Pardon?
Did they get,
No, I sent them, they still don't understand why they need to hire someone.
okay,
We have a lot of Murphys.
okay. All right, folks, we're now up to 23 Myers Lane.
My
Good evening, thanks for your patience.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Commission, my name is Andy Silippo. I'm the homeowner at 23 Myers Lane, also the architect on the project. And I'm filing a notice of intent to demolish an existing garage and then relocate that as part of an addition to the existing house. And a portion of that proposed addition still falls within the 100-foot setback of the riverbank of Trout Brook. And the existing garage will be, completely demolished and returned to its natural habitat.
We recently set that line at top of Bank, did we not, for the new construction along Trout Brook? Do you know, Kathy?
I don't remember.
Are you right next to the new house?
No, there isn't any new construction on Myers Lane. No.
You think of
There was a proposal on Robbins, the corner of Robbins and Myers.
Yes.
There's a proposed property there.
Right.
But is that next door?
No, that's two houses.
Two
down.
houses, okay,
Yeah.
all right, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was referring to.
Okay.
All right, but I don't know how far we went along the brook when we set the line for that project. You're right, it's a Robin Street address.
Yes.
But we
right.
set that line that adjoined, and I think we only went up to the next house. So you'd be the
That'd
second
be the
house.
right.
Okay, all right, understood.
Yeah, 29 is the neighbor, and then the next house is the new house you're talking about.
Got it, okay, thank you.
And so currently, I don't know if it matters much, but the existing two-car garage is, basically one of the bays is inaccessible because they've built it so close to the house that you really can't get much more than a lawnmower in there and some bikes on one side. So the purpose for the renovation is to first and foremost, make the garage usable, and then also to unblock the lawn area. We have 3 small children, from the viewing from the house. Right now, you really can't see the lawn or the backyard at all from the house because the garage is in the way. So the idea is to put the garage underneath, sort of in the basement level, and then have the addition above that.
And what is the difference in, I read this, but it was almost 2 weeks ago now, so what's the difference in the change in impervious surface? Because I know you're removing the existing garage and you're adding the addition.
Yeah, so
What's the net? I
there's
thought
an
it was on
additional
here.
205 square feet. So the existing coverage is 21.2%. We're proposing to bump that up to 23.5. But the actual coverage, the new garage is actually going to sit on an existing driveway, basically, an impervious area. So the actual impervious number is equal to and/or probably slightly less, because again, the new garage is sitting on an existing, would be moved to an existing driveway area.
All right, and do you have, for the proposed additions, is there a roof drain planned here?
Yeah, so all the roof drain would drain into gutter, into a guttered system, and then down onto the lawn area, as it does currently, so there wouldn't be any.
I'm just, and it's a small amount, it's 205 square feet, you said, but I mean,
Yeah.
have you considered the use of a dry well so that you just drop the roof runoff, the gutter runoff into a dry well?
Sure, yeah. We'd be happy to accommodate if that made sense. I mean, fortunately for us, I mean, all the adjacent properties in this area get quite flooded during rains, and certainly now with all the runoff, but we're quite a bit higher, our property, than certainly 19 Myers. It drops way off. So controlling our runoff on our property is a main concern of what the addition would do. But yeah, it'd all be guttered and then directed anywhere that was most appropriate.
And that dry well that was recommended would give you an extra margin of protection.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it. Oops, just have to wait a minute, okay.
Sure.
I don't have an issue with using top of bank here, because we've been out there recently for the Robin Street site. But to the extent that we generally look at sightlines, does anybody want to go there at 9 o'clock on Saturday before we go to Avenue A?
It might have to be 9:30, another one to 10.
Oh, you're right.
Because
Timing.
I'm not sure when the town clerk will be able to post my agenda.
Understood. I've been out there recently, so I know it, but we could do it on the way back.
Why don't we do that?
Do it
Yeah.
on the way back.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit uncertain, because we might spend an hour on Avenue A, so
Sure.
we'd probably be somewhere around 10:30. And we just eyeball the top of bank.
Okay.
Because I don't, if you put in a dry well, that looks fine to me. Do you have any
Is
issues?
there actually, I don't, is there actually any water back there at this time of year?
In the Trout Brook?
Yeah,
Yes. I
there
mean,
is.
there is. I mean, certainly in late summer, early fall, it's typically quite dry back there. The kids will walk up and down it.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, in the past 2 months, it's been flowing pretty
Okay.
consistently.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay, so it'll be around 10:30, is that okay?
Actually, I'm not able to be there
On
on
Saturday.
Saturday, correct?
Okay.
Yes, at all.
All right. Do you know what, if Hans is, I just want to make sure we have a quorum.
I don't think so. I assume Hans is on school vacation. He just said he wasn't going to be around.
Well, for
Ingrid and
tonight.
Jerry, I thought Jerry was going to
No.
be here tonight. I think
I
we can
did
get a
too.
quorum. Why don't we?
I know Ingrid's going to be away.
I think Jerry's, I don't know, but I actually thought he was going to be here tonight.
He-
So why don't we plan it
Okay,
And if not, we can see it as a subcommittee.
okay.
So we see you around 10:30?
Super.
Perfect. Any questions from abutters, members of the public? None? Thank you very much. See you Saturday.
There's stone on Sunday, so that may.
You gave it to
Could be
me that
around
late night,
Saturday.
about 4 o'clock, yes, you
Yeah,
did, they're in the
I did.
folder.
You
Okay,
sure?
Lined up, yeah, I remember now, you came at 4 o'clock.
Right, yeah, I think of that one day I ran around.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is 1421 Canton Avenue. Notice of intent. Hi, good evening.
Good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration, representing the Martins for their property at 1421 Canton Avenue. We all set, ready to go?
Yes,
Okay.
we are. Can you just give us kind of a summary of what the plan is?
Yes. We've submitted a notice of intent application to respond to an enforcement order for some placement of stone in the Balster Brook at the rear of their property. I was out in the beginning of October, did a site review, prepared a restoration plan and submittal, and got that into the Conservation Office. We were unaware at that time that the commission was also looking for a notice of intent to follow that up. I was under the impression, or I just kind of was thinking that I would hear from the conservation agent and we'd have a site walk to go over the restoration plan. So I was waiting for that, and then we were informed to prepare and submit the notice of intent to accompany the restoration plan, which wasn't a problem. We did that, and that's why we're here tonight. As you'll see in the notice of intent application, there's a small pile of stones that were dumped at the edge of the stream. There is no boring vegetative wetland to the stream. It was just along the inland bank and in the interior of the stream. You'll see photographs in there. So I put together a restoration submittal to address that. It can all be done by hand. It's not a big pile. I put together a restoration sequence that's in the notice. There would be minimal impact. I did have an item in there if the commission would like. I think the conservation agent, Steve Ivis, could weigh in on that fact. If there are some nice stones in that pile, if the commission would think it was nice to place some of those stones as kind of riffle habitat in the stream, we could do that. But that's just an idea. I would like to get Steve's input on that.
Well, if I can stop you there, because you do suggest it in the plan, you get several of the
Correct.
larger clean stones could be strategically placed within the stream bed to create riffle habitat at the direction of an overviewing wetland specialist. I agree with that, but what I thought was missing here was the stream bank restoration. Can't we use those together?
There isn't going to need to be any, the stream on that section of the brook is armored pretty much anyway. So
The area where I don't know whether it was dug out or it just eroded,
it
but
was
it
just-
looks like it's falling in.
there is undercutting along that stream, from the stream. But what happened in this location was a wheelbarrow or larger dumped a pile of stone into the stream. All that's needed is to move the stone out of the stream. There isn't a scenario to restore the bank. There isn't the need for it.
Wow, let me see if I can find the picture, because
Sure,
my memory is it is a.
I have some extra, I have color photos of what we included in the notice. There's pages behind
Thanks, Matt.
what I included in the notice.
Thank you.
I think what you might be thinking of is, if the stream bank were destroyed or altered, you'd come in with some type of maybe a coil log restoration project and bank restoration and kind of some stability.
No, I was trying to kind of segue in with your suggestion.
Okay.
That if you use some of those stones, can't you stabilize the bank? There's one photograph in here that shows that the bank is,
Oh.
this is the old one.
I didn't know what you were meaning.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea.
You could do that. Typically, armoring of a stream bank is frowned on, but you could use some of those stones and kind of tuck them in along some of the areas that are undercutting to provide some more stability. What I was referring to is just some of the stones could be placed interior of the stream to kind of create some habitat in there. One of the other proposal is, it has nothing to do with this item in this, this stone pile, but there are areas of the stream that have become clogged from sticks catching
to
debris
the
that
left.
we're proposing just to clean up
Clean
as
that up.
part of that
Good,
project, to
thanks.
help it flow.
That'd be great. The question that I had, Brad, about the stones going in place,
Yeah, that's Milton Street.
back of my mind was with respect to future debris that will be coming down from wherever.
That might catch it
Yeah.
and create some
That
more
could
damming
create-
effect.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's an idea, and like I said, if Steve Ivas thought it would be something that he would think was a good idea, then I too think it would be beneficial. But yes, that could be a way to capture more debris coming down.
And then that, we don't want that playing on the property owners.
And flooding up.
After going through this exercise.
Sure.
That is free-flowing.
I agree, it was just, as I said, it could be done if the commission thought it would be. It's not, this is really something that I would imagine could be done with a couple guys with rubber boots, not even necessarily waders.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
Brad, I'm going to
Placing that
show
up.
you this
Sure.
picture, but that's what I had on my mind.
Yeah, and this is where that's my memory too.
Yeah. Wendy, I don't know if you've seen that
I
one.
have not, thank you.
This is where
That's my concern, this
I would prefer
erosion.
that the stone go.
Oh, yeah.
And what you're going to see here, and this would protect from future erosion possibilities.
Brad, what sort of vegetation did you
That's the other
find
side of the
along
stream.
that
That's,
section?
it's a property owner.
I
over
noted
there.
it in my narrative. There's
Slats.
Virginia creeper and white woodland aster, bittersweet, and there's a little bit of Japanese knotweed in there as well.
There is Japanese
Not on
knotweed.
the stream bank, but up gradient of the bank.
We don't know.
So what happens is the bank is steep enough to prevent the formation of a vegetative wetland.
I see.
That just looks like it's unstable to me, and I didn't know if there's any way, I heard what you said about armoring a
Yep.
bank, but is there any way to use the stones to solidify that bank? Because it looks like it's just going to keep going and undermine the trees and everything.
It could be, you could take that stone and place them in and amongst that section, that could be
But
done.
is that a good idea, from your perspective?
From there are areas of the stream that have been armored in the past. Armoring of the banks of a stream are negatively looked at for the performance standards of an inland bank. The rest, what we were tasked with was to, as an enforcement order, to address the removal of the stone. So that was what our task was. We didn't perform an analysis of the stream bed to come up with stability options. The easier thing to do would be to use those stones, yes, and place them in and see if that's gonna be something that helps that area. There are other measures that could be done as well.
Brad, I'd be interested in having that oriental bittersweet be removed, or at least cut back and treat it somehow.
Sure.
That would be beneficial for the trees, that it tends to strangle, we all know. And the Japanese knotweed, could we at least cut it back? I know it tends to come back, but we can try to stop its progression if you cut it right back to the ground.
Sure, that can be done.
I think it would be worthwhile trying to get those invasives out of here. That would be really beneficial for the health of the stream.
So is there a consensus on this? Because to be honest, I don't know if this is just natural erosion. I don't know how it ended up like that.
I don't believe it's not from the work of this item here. I think it's natural undercutting that's happening from the stream.
I have a question, if I may, Mr. Chairman, and that is if there's a midpoint between the two recommendations, and that the stone could be in the stream, but not so far out as to collect debris, but close enough to the bank so that it might mitigate against the possibility of future erosion of the bank.
Sure.
So you don't have to put it on the bank, but it would be,
No, I'm just looking for advice as to
Yeah.
how to make it better.
I would take this, my advice, because the stone is here, would be to use it in the stream bed system and put it up, you don't have to place it too far up, but place it at the edge where the erosion is happening. And strategically, maybe not the whole lengths, but maybe break it up into sections. There are some pieces of, non-rock or some pieces of concrete that would obviously be taken out. But because it's there and there are other rocks that have been done in the past, yes, I would propose using that to try to provide some more stability.
I'd be satisfied with that approach.
Good to you, Wendy?
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
That sounds good, plus removing the invasives along with that, I think would be a good solution.
I agree.
How do you suggest getting rid of the knotweed?
Well, the only way to get rid of it is herbicide in the long run. So, but what I would do is just, because it isn't dominant in this area, it's not fully engulfed, is just to cut it, repeated cutting, and
Painting.
painting if it gets to that point. But I think you could control it by just cutting it and mowing it. What I have done in the past is cut it and squirt it with Roundup. But, usually the homeowners are allowed to
I've kept
apply
it mowed,
herbicide.
yeah. I've kept it mowed for, 10 years or so, and gradually it goes away.
Yes.
Surrenders.
There's no way to get a lawnmower back there.
Just hand cutting will.
All right, so that we can move forward on this, is there a consensus as to whether or not this plan should be approved and an order of condition be issued?
So moved.
All right, are there any comments or questions from abutters or members of the public?
I just want to be clear on the conditions.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, is Brad supposed to consult with Steve Ivers before the placements of the rocks?
Yes, yes.
But any debris as cement or et cetera will be removed from the bank.
Yes.
And then the third will be to remove the invasives, bittersweet and Japanese knotweed.
And you picked up on what Brad said about the cleaning up of the debris in the stream?
Yes, he says it's going to remove any cement or
Well, there's brush and
brush debris, you want to
correct,
specify
yeah,
brush.
Creating some
Okay.
flooding
Yeah.
issues.
that protects the bank up to the left-hand side
Right.
in the property.
Aren't we looking for repeated removal of the knotweed, not just a one-time mowing?
That was a question to you, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we can say for 2 years, 2 seasons, to try to keep it in check.
Yes.
With all due respect,
You have to just say who you are first.
Dina Martin, I'm one of the homeowners. With all due respect,
Could you use the mic? Could you come forward? Thank you.
but I understand that.
Okay.
But the
Could you use the mic?
Yes.
Thanks.
The plant matter back there is outside the scope of this. I mean, we're talking about rocks that need to be removed and a slope that needs to be stabilized. We haven't touched the plant matter back there since we bought the house. And frankly, getting back there during a time when plants are growing is nearly impossible. That entire lower part of the yard is loaded with stinging nettles. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna send anybody back there to do it. I'm happy to agree to cleaning the situation that was created, but as far as the plant matter is concerned, we've tried to control it in the past. It's impossible. I mean, we've lived there for 12 years, we haven't been able to successfully tame that area of the yard.
Well, we're not asking you to tame the area, we're just asking to take out some of the more egregious forms of vegetation. Certainly, the bittersweet is easy, you can get that big, as we all know, but you can get in there and you can cut it down. And it helps the trees, it helps the shrubs, it's important to do it.
How is that inside the scope of this project?
Well, we asked you to come before us how many times to
One has nothing to do
respond?
with the other, ma'am, with all due respect.
It actually does. If you don't know, we voted to fine you $300 per day in September. That's going $300 per day. Now, we're always open to remitting a fine or a portion of it, depending upon, sometimes we trade, we do barter. Sometimes people plant trees instead of, paying a fine. We're looking for a consensus to better the environment. So, yes, you didn't cause the bittersweet. You are correct. But if you were to contribute towards the betterment of the environment, we would be much more amenable to lowering the fine. It's easy. We're about as user-friendly as you can get as far as conservation commissions go. And if you didn't pick up on it, we issued an enforcement order in February or March. It was the first week in March of last year. An entire year has gone by. And we appreciate your presence here, but we're here every month, and you haven't been.
Well, I understand that, and I apologize for my absence at the meetings, and we're trying to resolve it, but
Yes.
I feel a little blackmailed, to be frank. And, and not saying that we're not in a position where we have to comply, frankly, but we've lived in that house for 12 years. I know what that stream is like, I know what it does, I know what the vegetation does back there, and it would be disingenuous for me to sit here and say, yes, I'm gonna control that weed, when I know damn well it's not gonna be able to be controlled. We can make an attempt, but if for me to sit here and say, we'll go back there every 3 weeks and cut it back, would be a lie, and I'm not gonna do that. So.
We're not asking for every 3 weeks, and we understand, I've got extensive personal experience with bittersweet. It's everywhere in my yard, and it's tough. I understand that. So no, we're not going to be saying you've got to do it every 3 weeks, but making an effort would be important to us.
Well, we are making an effort, and that,
I think your use of the word attempt is right on. That's what the request is.
See, and when we come up with ideas like, in lieu of a fine, in lieu of what we could fine you, thousands of dollars, we have the authority to do that. We're saying, no, we won't. Let's think of another solution that might make sense. And that's why we're talking about the vegetation. That's why we're talking about the invasives. And it's an exaggeration, what you're suggesting. I'm simply saying, a couple of times a year, get someone in there, keep the bittersweet under control, and try to deal with the Japanese knotweed. Brad can tell you how to do it, and it's possible to deal with it.
okay?
All right, anything else?
Nothing further.
So is there a consensus that an order of conditions should issue with the adjustments that we've made to Brad's plan? Those adjustments being to clean the debris. Well, I think that's part of your plan, actually. But the adjustment would be to use the stone to try to stabilize. And we're not looking for an armored stream,
No, I understand.
but just something to slow the erosion. And then an attempt to eliminate the invasives. Anything
Brad,
else?
We have a motion to, accordingly.
Is there a second?
You want Brad to consult with Steve Ivers too about the placement of the
Yes.
Yes. That's
So
correct.
they're still the same, okay.
And part of the order of conditions is that it'll be done under the oversight of somebody, you, I guess. You said a wetlands, I forget what the quote is, a wetlands specialist. Right. So I think that would be an appropriate condition, as is indicated in the plan. Anything else, any other conditions? All right, and that, it'll be done by hand as well.
Correct.
So that's because we don't want machinery in the stream.
Right.
All right? Any discussion? All in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is Conservation Restriction 175 Governor Stoughton Lane. Oh, that's the one that was already addressed by Marion McKittrick.
No,
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 Oh, that was, yeah, that was one-
this is where you
153 Hillside.
recuse yourself, right? Lucky guy.
this won't take long, John. It really won't. And so we got copies both by email and in the package of the new conservation restriction. And when I read it over, I think it was saying exactly what we wanted it to say about the public access. Remember, Wendy, we had that discussion?
Yes.
And I think it was Hans who said specifically the public access to be on the existing trails or the trails they'll be making for the homeowners and only during daylight hours.
Correct.
And I saw the language in there and it looks good to me.
I
What do you
thought so
think?
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Agreed.
good.
I thought it was good faith.
Yes, I thought so too. And in terms of the actual delineation of the two parcels, it seems to be correct in, meets and bounds. Those are the areas just off of Unquity Road. As you go in the new road, one on the left-hand side and then the other on the right. The conservation restriction also talks about a baseline report. And the baseline report would be within the documents showing what the property looked like before all the development began. So the baseline report would show what types of trees, what should still exist here in the two conservation areas. So I think to get that done, we need Steve Ivers to be back. We can't deal with it tonight. But I think Steve Ivers, and then we had reports, remember Arthur, from way back, we walked that land, maybe in.
Multiple times.
Multiple,
I was there,
yeah.
I walked it 3 times.
Yeah, that's right. Tom Palmer did a report on the flora, all the wildlife there as well. So I think we'd be using, basically to go through the file and see the reports that we had. And those documents would then contribute. I think Steve would go through them and decide which ones would be in the baseline report, describing the existing conditions that should be preserved. That's my understanding.
That would be the methodology that they could put together.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, it would follow nicely from what they've proposed, and I think our adoption of their proposal, and then Steve getting together
Yes,
would suffice, don't you?
I think that would be the way to do it, yes. What do you think, Wendy?
That sounds appropriate
Then
to
that
me.
goes into the
Yeah.
package, the whole conservation
Yes.
restriction itself includes that. When is Steve back, Kathy?
4th of March.
Okay,
You want
so,
to continue to the 12th of March?
yeah, that's kind of early for him to get going. I guess that would be fine. If we have to kick it over one more month,
Okay.
then, he can let us know beforehand, though.
Okay.
And can we ask him to be in touch with Tom Palmer and also maybe Pulte to just let,
I'm not sure how Tom Palmer played into it, so I'm not sure if we can
that's the
ask-
initial report that was the survey, wasn't it, of the whole? Isn't he the one who did
I would
it?
suggest that Steve work directly with Pulte,
Okay,
and then they can bring in what other assets or resources they need.
okay,
Does that make sense?
that's fine.
Do you want bump it to the April meeting and request that the law firm that drew up the conservation restriction be here to answer any of your questions?
It's not a bad idea to have someone here. It's an important document to have. This whole development has been so full of controversy back and forth, so, yeah, I think that would make sense. That April meeting is,
I thought we were satisfied with what they proposed.
yes, we can definitely say that. April 9th, yeah, let's do that.
So if we're satisfied, why would we need them to bring in their attorneys?
Well,
She-
just
she-
one, but if Steve has any questions in terms of what that document should look like to submit. Well, let's put it over to the March meeting then.
Okay, and then if you
He'll
feel
have
you
time.
need,
Yeah,
you want,
If necessary.
Kathy, I would consult with John Flynn.
well, the lawyer called me today about the baseline. And I
Right.
said, usually in these situations, it's the applicant that presents it to the town attorney, and then from there it comes to the conservation. And she made it seem as if the conservation would determine the baseline.
Fine, we agree.
But before the conservation approves, the commission approves it, I think the town attorney should approve it.
That's, I guess, what I was asking.
Yes, so that's what I was wondering, like, if she doesn't get in touch with John Flynn, I think by the 12th of April,
Yeah.
we should ask.
I
See,
think we should,
That's the attorney relationship that I'd be more interested in,
okay.
and see whether or not our
Okay.
attorney is satisfied.
Well,
So
first of
once
all, when
Steve
Steve
does-
comes back, he has to pull the documents and put together what he would consider the baseline report.
And then send them both up to both lawyers and
That's what
get
I
a
should think.
consensus. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll,
So we can put it on for the next meeting, sort of as an update, a status, but not assume it's going to be done by then.
okay.
Maybe it will be, but it seems awfully fast if he's just back. Okay, Arthur?
That makes sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Wendy,
right.
is that okay with you?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Lots to catch up with, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay, we can ask John to come back then.
Okay.
I knew it would be.
Do we have to?
Who else was involved in that? I thought, who else did that survey, Arthur? I can't remember. There was someone else as well. We can look
I
in the
know
file.
Steve Ivis was one of them
Was one of them at the time, yeah.
at the time, but for some reason,
They can look at the file and find out.
was Tom Palmer with Pulte?
No, no. But I think he did,
I have a recollection,
yeah, walking.
very early on.
Yeah.
Maybe the very first site
He
walk.
talked about the stones,
Yeah.
and he talked about the history
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And how it was used as a woodlot.
He
and
was representing the butters.
the abutters, that's right. But his report will be in the file.
Yes, it should be.
Okay, that's what it was, yeah.
You have a very good memory. I'm impressed.
So that was number 5. Number 6, the
Yes.
enforcement order, 50 Summer Street, we've already continued. Number 7, informational, 711 Randolph Avenue, that's already continued because it's under appeal. Number 8,
Hold on,
conservation.
just one second, John. Who is appealing that on?
It's the
May-
town of
Town.
Milton and the
And-
abutter, Mr. Carlin, of the Carlin family, both. I think they both filed an appeal. Okay.
Okay,
Conservation restriction 153 Hillside Street, we already addressed. Order of conditions at 105 Cabot Street.
That's just for the report that was submitted. It's just saying there, it's in compliance with all the conditions that you requested, the soil, so they did complete that part of the order of condition. One of the,
I'm still catching up, I'm sorry.
number 44, the order conditions for 105, said that you want is contingent on soil testing before the dry well is installed and designed.
Yes.
So this is just that, in compliance. I think it just should be in the minutes that they did submit it.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what, I had a question on that, but I think that you answered my question. Kathy, I had asked, when I saw that they had, I'm on the first page of that letter, dated December 20, 2018. Based upon the let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. Based on those computations, we have enlarged the dry well to provide a 6-foot diameter by 3-foot deep precast leaching pit with 3 feet of washed stone and 6 inches of washed stone beneath. This is slightly larger drywall than was shown on the plan. So my question was, does it fit in the location where it was designed to go? And that's, did you send me that plan, Kathy? I can't remember. We've got all the calculations here attached to this letter, but I was more interested in the plan itself.
I did, I sent it to you and I scanned it. It should be in a folder.
I just wanted to make sure it was away from the slope.
Because that's a pretty steep slope.
Oh, sure is. But I think it's on the other side of the driveway, where the leaching is supposed to go. It is, that's the dry well?
Yeah, this Cabot Street, so it is on the other side.
Yeah, the slope is over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
see.
You okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so then what are we being asked to do with this structure?
Just that you admit that it was submitted, just so we can have a record that number 44 of the order condition was submitted.
Yes, okay. All right, so we don't need to take any action, it doesn't require a vote?
No.
So that's it? We have additional business?
Well, I think we do. What is this, one about Old Farm Road, the water pollution that ran into Wendell Park?
Yeah, Hans, I think Hans was going to submit something, and Steve Ivers, but the town sent that to the homeowner.
Yes, that was just informational to the homeowner, correct?
Okay,
Right.
Wasn't there a bill attached to it?
there is
Yes.
a bill
There's a
attached.
bill.
Yes.
For the work by the DPW?
Right, DPW just wanted to make you aware that they did.
East
submit-
Coast Pipelines that they engaged,
Oh, that was East Coast Bank?
yeah. Did
Did
this
the
is,
drilling?
Cleaned out.
No, the
they
cleanup.
cleaned
Oh,
out.
they did the cleanup.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, okay, yeah, that was it. All right, so that just goes to the file, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's now between the DPW and the homeowner.
Yes, they just didn't know if you want to do something, if the Conservation Commission want to take action against it.
Well, I suppose we could have issued an enforcement order,
But since,
but it's sort of done, that was an emergency situation.
Right.
And both DEP and the town responded that day. immediately.
okay,
So I don't think we need to do anything.
okay, so just for you to be aware of.
Okay, do you agree?
That's fine with me.
All right, I don't think we need to enter into enforcement order and fines and that. It seems to have been fixed, and if they had to pay for the fix, then I think we're good enough.
I forgot to ask if they did.
If they did pay. Well, why don't we keep it
Oh,
open and
Okay.
find out that they did.
Oh, I thought they had paid.
They were asked to. I'm not sure if they did.
Oh,
All right, well, we don't need to take any particular action.
well, that's a horse of a different color
This is
then.
just information.
Okay,
If they did not, I'll put it on the agenda for next month.
sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Then, John, we have the December 23rd letter to Mike Dennehy from environmental consultants relative to 131 Elliott Street.
131.
Yeah.
131. I know. Wasn't this what our problem was? When we were there, and we were there for the sewer bypass. We were inspecting the pipe. It was
Right.
gonna go on that bypass, it was gonna run along the bicycle trail.
That's still happening, right?
It is still happening.
Yeah.
But when we were there, that was October, and we walked across the street. and
November.
we looked at the mound
Right.
of dirt.
Yep.
With a tarp on it, and we looked at the open holes where the tanks had been removed.
Correct.
And we talked about it, and then,
Hold on one second. We're talking for the public about the Hendry's building and the demolition.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And then, at the time, we knew that they had been extracted, but we never got any calculations of what the contaminants were. And then,
But
2
we
months
got the
went by.
reports
we
about
did
it.
get
We
that,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, it took them 2 months to get it to us,
But we-
but we
yeah.
got them. We
Okay,
got them.
we did, yeah.
And then, to be honest with you, they were long written in hieroglyphics and chemical terms. So this is interesting because this is a notification to DEP about discharge due to the release of gasoline from an unknown gasoline underground storage tank and the discovery of non-aqueous phase liquid NaPl greater than 1/2 inch in an open excavation. So that sounds like it's floating. The source of the NaPl is attributed to a release of number 6 fuel oil from a leaking oil water separator. But this is December 23rd, 2018. So why are we getting notice?
I thought it was sort of like an after-the-fact report on what occurred beforehand.
It is.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
So we
if-
never got notice.
but I don't know if Steve Ivers did, because he was gone by the time I received the letter.
This letter.
This, yeah, so I don't know.
Why didn't we get notice of this back? I mean, it's part of our order of conditions.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you know if there's been a DEP follow-up on this? Is it possible, I don't know if it's Rachel Freed or, no, who was the woman for DEP that did the superseding order of conditions? You remember?
I don't, no.
Because
The
we had
white-
denied the permit, and then that was appealed to DEP, and DEP denied the permit. Then it was appealed, and there was a resolution at the appeal level.
We could ask Steve on this. I felt this was closing the loop, as I read it, but having Steve's opinion on that would be very helpful when he gets back, if you agree.
Oh, of course, yeah. And when is he returning, the 4th?
The 4th.
The 4th, all right. Would you put that on his list of things to
I think we had the
investigate?
sidewalk in November, so this was afterwards. I think it was November. We were there.
Yeah, that's
And we walked all along the bike path.
correct.
I think it was November,
Yeah, I think you're right.
because we didn't do anything in December sidewalk. And it wasn't last month.
I
So
thought it
this
was
was-
earlier than that, but it
Well,
could have been. But it was,
Yeah.
when does this say that it
Look at
happened?
it.
See, it doesn't. So that's why I think this is just the follow-up communication on what previously took place. And that's why I refer to it as closing the loop.
This says October 26, 2018.
Which explains why the mounds and the excavation were like they were when we took the
Yeah,
walk.
Yeah.
True. All right. So would you ask Steve to follow up on that?
Yes.
That's great, thank you. Any other additional business?
Hold
No,
on,
I'm just
one
glad
more.
that we
It says
got the
due to the
information.
release of gasoline, so all the reports that we got had no indication of any
Correct.
oil or gasoline.
You are correct.
So where did this come from? The gasoline, some, just,
It looks
On the
like from an
side?
oil separator.
I thought the oil separators were out of there. Oh, this was October.
Yeah, it was from a leaking oil-water separator.
But why would be gasoline as opposed to number 6 fuel oil?
Yeah, oil.
I don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
any idea. No, that'll be on the agenda.
Could we have someone come and talk to us about this from the demolition company? No?
Good luck.
You don't want to open that?
No,
think
no,
we
I don't
should.
mind opening
Why don't we
it.
let Steve do his homework first?
First?
before we-
Yeah, because he has been dealing with the whole site.
Okay,
He goes
let-
there.
then let him-
Weekly or bi-weekly, and
That's
he
fine.
knows the people to contact, I think.
He does indeed.
Okay.
Any other additional business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So,
Second?
Second?
All in favor? All right, good to go. Thank you.
Good, good.
thank you, John.